Today we're going to learn how to do the tubular bind off for the Dragonheart Leg Warmers. We're going to need our work, our 5th double point needle if you're using double point needles, a large-eyed tapestry needle, and a pair of scissors. So we've been working in a 2x2 rib. If you remember from the tubular cast on, we began in a 1x1 cast on pattern, and then we manipulated the stitches to go to the 2x2 rib. So we're going to have to do the same thing here. We're going to start with the 2x2 rib, and we're going to manipulate the stitches so that they're in a 1x1 rib. So I'm going to start with my first knit stitch. And instead of the knit, I want a purl. So I'm going to go through purlwise the back of the second stitch, and I'm going to slip both stitches off the needles. I'm going to grab that knit stitch with my thumb and forefinger, slide it onto the left hand needle, and now my purl stitch here, I'm going to slide it back onto my left hand needle. So now I've twisted these two stitches, so I have purl knit instead of knit purl. So I'll go ahead and purl, knit, purl, knit. Now I'm back in the same pattern of the 2x2 rib, so I'm going to reverse the stitches again. I'm going to slide it off purlwise, hold the knit stitch, put that back on the left hand needle, and then transfer the purl stitch back onto the left hand needle. So once again I can work in 1x1 ribbing. So I have purl, knit, purl, knit. I'm back at another knit stitch, so I'm just going to continue repeating this pattern all the way around until I've worked one full row, and then I have all of my stitches in a 1x1 ribbing pattern. Purl, knit, purl. Now I have completed one full row, and all of my stitches are in the knit purl pattern. So knit, purl, and I'm ready to actually begin the bind off. We're going to cut a long tail, and we want to have it about 4 to 5 times the circumference of our work. So I'm going to wrap it around 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to give it one more just for good measure. Go ahead and cut that. Now we can unwrap it and get our tapestry needle. So because we're working with a really long tail, I'm going to go ahead and pull it through quite a bit so that I'm not working with too much yarn at once. So before we begin the bind off, we have to set up our stitches first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go purlwise with the tapestry needle into the first stitch, and we're going to leave it on the needle. I want it to be nice and tight. It's wrapped around there. So I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Then I need to go between the first and second stitch from the back. So I'm going to go through the back between the first and second stitch. Then I'm going to go knitwise into the second stitch. So from the front to the back of the loop. So that's my setup. Now I'm ready to begin the bind off. So I'm going to go knitwise into the first stitch. And I'm going to slip that off. Then I'm going to go purlwise into the second stitch from back to front. And I'm going to leave it on. Then I'm going to go purlwise into the first stitch. Slip it off. And then from the back between the first and second stitch. And knitwise into the second stitch. So it's 5 steps. We're going to create a little mantra for us so that we can go through it nice and quickly. So we're going to knit, slip, purl, leave on, purl, slip, back to front, and knit. So let's go through that one more time. Knit, this is when it gets tricky with the long tail. Knit, slip, purl, on, purl, slip, back to front, knit, leave on. Knit, slip, purl, leave on, purl, slip, back to front, knit, leave on, knit, slip, purl, leave on, purl, slip, back to front, knit, leave on. And when I get to the end of the row, what I like to do is take that last stitch and bring it over here. So I knit and slipped, purl, weave on, purl, slip, back to front, and knit. So I'm going to do that all the way around until my last 2 stitches. As you can see, I'm on my last 2 stitches. The last step that I did was to knit through the 2nd stitch. So now I'm going to knit through the 1st stitch, slip it off, and there's no purl stitch here, no 2nd stitch to purl. So I'm going to pick up the loop from the 1st slipped knit stitch, and I'm going to purl through that. I'm going to purl and slip, and now I'm going to take the tapestry needle and weave the tail through the back of one of the knit stitches to secure it. And now I am all done with my tubular cast off for my Dragonheart Leg Warmers. And now I have a nice stretchy edge that's going to fit nicely over my feet and up to my calf.